Hi, this is Melanie of Pardesi Reviews, and I'm here to do a review of Vijay's Master. This one will be completely spoiler-free. If you're new to Pardesi Reviews, I do trailer reactions and film reviews of Indian cinema. I am a huge Vijay fan, and with COVID here where I live near Chicago, theaters are completely closed. Even if I felt comfortable watching a movie in a movie theater, I couldn't. And I was really depressed when I heard that Vijay's film was coming to theaters in Tamil Nadu and around India, but I wouldn't be able to see it, and I would have to wait until it came on streaming. Through a friend, I made contact with the producers, and they allowed me to see a copy of the film. So thank you so much for allowing me to see this film, because it is a dream of mine. We have Vijay, who I'm a huge fan, and we have Vijay Sethupathi, and I'm also a huge fan of Vijay Sethupathi. And the two of them together just makes a blockbuster film. Not only that, but it's Lokesh Kanagaraj as the director and writer of this film. I really enjoyed his film, Kaiti, starring Kartik, and it was so dynamic and so different, and I was like, oh my gosh, this combination of talent all together is going to be amazing. So I have watched the film twice. This review is going to be as spoiler-free as I possibly can for those of you who have not had an opportunity to see it. It will be coming to streaming and everyone will be able to enjoy it. But until then, this is spoiler-free. There's so many things that I liked about this film. After I watched the film the first time, I watched Lokesh, the director's interview, which was over an hour, that he spent with Bhagyaraj Rangan on Film Companion. And thank you, Film Companion, for providing subtitles to this interview so that I could fully enjoy this interchange of, because Bhagyaraj really gets into all the details of the filmmaking. And then being able to watch it a second time with all of that in mind, I was able to really appreciate some of the craft and the thought that went into making this film. Lokesh did admit in this interview, and one of my main criticisms is really, it's kind of long. It's 3 hours. Those of you who saw it in the theater, I was able to pause because I was at home. I will tell you that it has such rewatchability. There's so many great moments. There's so many great scenes that you want to treasure and watch again. And the songs are awesome by Anirudh. I just really enjoyed the music of this, seeing them placed in the film. Like, for instance, the Kuti Story song, I really understand why they used animation when they released that song, because where it's placed in the film and what it means in the film, it would have been spoiled if they had used any of those scenes. Lokesh said to Bhagyaraj that his goal was to make this film 50% Lokesh, 50% Vijay. What does that mean? He knows if you're having Vijay do a film, it's a star vehicle, and you have to give the fans what they want. And he mostly does. But there's some things that maybe you would expect from a Vijay film. For instance, the romance track really isn't there. There is a love song. There is a character who has sort of a crush, I guess, on Vijay, you would say, because it doesn't go much further than that. It's a wonderful song, but I think that song is also an ode to all of Vijay's fans and how we feel about him. And so it's lovely on that level as well. There's another honor to the fans when there's an interplay with Vijay and one of the villains, and he says, the way Rakes has subtitles, I have a zillion people behind me. And I'm assuming that means, all the fans. And I have to really admire Vijay. I don't want to get to spoilers about his character, but I will just say, for an actor of his stature and stardom, to say, yes, I'm okay playing a flawed character. I'm not going to tell you why he's flawed, but I will just tell you that he is flawed. And until a tragic event that happens halfway through the film, that is the moment when he decides to change, when he decides to take action and be the hero that we want him to be. So I absolutely loved that he was willing to do that. Also, and just even from the posters ahead of the time, we could see that he was sharing the stardom, sharing space by having the poster. It's Vijay and Vijay, and they're the same size in the poster. Magnanimous in giving Vijay Sethupathi quite a bit of screen time. And I would just say about Vijay Sethupathi's character that it's almost like he's a supervillain. And he has a certain special power that he develops, and he has a backstory that is at the beginning of the film that I thought was awesome. And because I'm such a fan of Vijay Sethupathi, I could tell that the young actor that they had playing Vijay as an older teen, they used Vijay Sethupathi's voice, but I think which is so distinctive. I mean, but I think they must have modulated it in editing or whatever, to make it sound a little younger. Awesome touch. I love that. Vijay also shares the screen with this adorable little munchkin kid. I think the character's name is Uyana. I can't spoil it. In my spoiler review, I will really get into why this scene with this kid is so amazing. But this kid has swagger. He has panache. He has bravado. He's everything. So I love that Vijay allowed this little kid to really shine and have a few of his own moments. Awesome. There's just so much to really enjoy in this film. Like I said, it's a little long. Like maybe the editor could have tightened things up. There's a lot of the first half is establishing Vijay's goodness as a professor at this college. Those are some of the scenes that we saw in the trailer and so forth. And Lokesh in the interview said he wanted to equally weight. And I don't know if it really deserved to be equally weighted with all of the events that happen in the second half. This is not a spoiler, but I loved all of the homages to other films. Even if I didn't recognize all of them, I could tell because Rakes had put in the subtitle when someone was singing a lyric from a famous movie. She put in the title of the movie, which was so helpful. And then we never really find out Vijay's backstory because he keeps telling people the plots of different movies. And so while I didn't catch all of them, one of them was Pramam. I was just laughing, and then another character's like, "Don't you watch Malayalam films? Don't you recognize it?" Oh my gosh, that was such a chuckle moment for me that I got that one. But there's many moments like that, and I think that's part of the 50% Lokesh, where there's so many of those references to famous songs. And from what I've been told, it really pays homage to all different stars. And so there's even, an homage to one of Ajit's big films. And I think that's really awesome. I have to give another special note to the cinematographer and the lighting. Lokesh talks about there was sort of a happy accident, and that in one of Vijay Sethupath's most menacing scenes, there was a tube light that started flickering. And instead of going and fixing it, they decided to make that a signature thing for Vijay Sethupath's menacing scenes. They carried that through, and it was wonderful watching the film the second time and noticing how they did that in different ways, be it with lightning in the sky or whatever. And I love that touch. But beyond that, they filmed certain scenes, especially in the second half. There's a lot of, dusty browns to the palette. Bhagyaraj, I asked him about the color palette and the care and of the costuming and the choices of colors that the main characters wore. But I also want to shout out that they filmed certain scenes. I saw at sort of a perfect time of day, such that sunlight washed over the scene and it just gave this golden hue. Oh my gosh, it was really gorgeous and kind of depressing settings, but adding this golden glow. Again, the music I really, really enjoyed. And because Rakes was the subtitlist, all the rapping, all the fun lyrics, I was able to enjoy all of that. Vijay gave a very good performance. There's a very emotional scene right after, like I said, there's a tragedy that occurs. And what Lokesh talked about in the interview with Bhagyaraj is that he's teary-eyed, and then a fight happens. Well, the fight was filmed over 5 days, and so Vijay had to have glycerin put on his eyes so that he would have that teary-eyed look for 5 days. Like, that is dedication. Also, there is a shirtless scene, and Lokesh said that he worked out for a month straight to be able to really, he's looking good. He's looking good. But I love that because Vijay Sethupathi was the villain, it was somebody worthy. Like, if you're going to have Vijay be the hero, I want somebody worthy of him that is really a challenge for him to overcome as a villain. And Vijay Sethupathi, he is so menacing just with the softest of tones. He's so good. He's so good at just giving that vibe, and he just, give me 2 minutes. So I really enjoyed the two of them on screen together. Really great action scenes. And like I said, it's super fun to watch again and again because there's so many little things to enjoy and savor the second time. Kudos to everybody involved. I really enjoyed it. I don't know that it's Vijay's, in the top 5 films ever of Vijay, but I'm so starved for a mass film like this. And I'm sure the audience is too, with theaters having been closed for so long. It wasn't the same, let me just tell you. Whooping and hollering at Vijay's entrance and alone in my family room wasn't quite the same. But, there's certain scenes and fights where I was like, oh, oof, my husband came in to see what I was exclaiming about. I'll just say, if you set up a fight sequence in a meat factory, somebody's going to end up on a meat hook. I've learned that from Scorsese and all the other Hollywood gangster films. Anyway, not too gory though, not too bloody for families to see, because Lokesh talked about in the interview that they really dialed back the violence compared to what Kaiti had been, knowing that families were all going to see this film. I think there's something for everybody in it, and I really enjoyed it. And thank you again to the people who allowed me to see it. Okay, spoiler full review coming next, but I just wanted to give something for anyone who hasn't had a chance to see it. If you have had a chance to see it, don't put anything spoiler in these comments. We'll save that discussion for the next video. Follow me on Twitter at PardesiYT. I'm launching myself on Instagram at Pardesi Reviews. Please follow me there. Subscribe here to Pardesi Reviews, and if you hit the bell when you subscribe, you'll never miss another trailer reaction or film review.